Wordsworth once said, "Child is the father of man." And this statement is relevant today more than ever because not only kids have access to many devices and so much content, but they're also using it effectively to influence purchasing patterns at home. So we decided to speak to A&M professionals about what excites kids when it comes to brand communication. Take a look. So I have with me Prashant from GSK and Babita from J. Walter Thompson. Thank you so much for joining us for the Children's Day special. So both of you have been working on brands which are essentially targeting kids. Like you work with chocolates, instant noodles, and you're from GSK. There's Boost, Horlicks, and so on. So, but how has children's demands changed and how has advertising for them also changed over the time?
It's always been like fairy tales. You know, if you look at a fairy tale, there's a story, there are interesting characters, but there's always a message at the end that you remember for life. So pretty much when you message or you create communication which are for kids, you follow a pattern which is very similar, something that interests them, something that engages them, but at the same time, what is a message which is for the larger good or something which is relevant.
Would you say that in kids advertising, it's the emotions and not the intellect that you play upon? What do you think excites and hooks kids?
I think it's also about the exposure, the kind of conversations they are exposed to. So absolutely, it's a great mix of emotions and intellect, and when the two meet, which is the ideal point, is when you have the best flow of communication.
So while you said that kids do give a lot of messages at home also, and you've learned a lot from your kids or kids around you, how much are they an influencer while making purchases, not just for kiddie products per se, but for other things like cars or gadgets and so on?
The question is not about whether the kid is an influencer or whether the wife is an influencer, as much as families have become more cohesive as a unit today. I think there are more conversations. Children are not spoken to as just children as much as they're part of larger conversations about life, about where to go on holidays, the kind of food you want to eat, what you want to buy. And as part of this conversation, of course there are points which are made about, let's go in for this or let's opt for that. And therefore there would be an influence. So to that extent, yes, they are influencers.
So given that the media landscape has changed so much and digital devices are almost ubiquitous now for every other kid is using either their or their parents' phone, easy access to tablets and so on. So how has advertising kind of sort of evolved to keep up with this changing phenomenon?
See, what are they doing, honestly, whether it's their mom's phone or their phone? A, they are connecting, B, they are expressing, and 3, they are creating. So any one of these 3, and these are the 3 primary ones, in any one of these, if we can get in the brand story or the brand engagement, they'll be more participating. Kids are about imagination. The more we can tickle their imagination, the better it will be. So the kind of imaging, the kind of messaging that we will do for a television commercial would definitely be different when we look at how to engage them on digital.
Given there are so many media today, I mean, what is the best way to engage children considering they have such a short attention span and their habits and their needs are constantly changing? What do you think, Babita?
See, if we don't use the term advertising and if we use the term conversation or engagement or experience, which is what brands and marketing is about today, then you'll find the answer yourself. So I don't see engagement as being a hassle at all. I think the larger challenge is what is the conversation brands have or are going to have with the future generation. What is it that paints a larger picture of something which is about the larger social good, about sustainability, about the environment, things like that, about nutrition that we talked about, healthier choices of living. Those are the kind of messaging in the long run, I think, which will be more memorable.
How do you think can marketers or advertisers create a positive influence on children? Or do you think it's not really their problem?
Actually make the brand grow with the child. This is a segment that's growing, right? Every year there is a new fold coming in and the others are going. And if as a brand or any communication partner, you can partner them by understanding them, I think then you are a partner for good.
This was very engaging and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.